Hello, good morning. It's Adil Fazal here, market analyst at CFDs.com, bringing you a review of FTSE 100 for this morning's trading session. Okay, please be sure to visit CFDs.com, CFDS.com for your trading needs. You can apply for the 25% cashback bonus offer. Alternatively, you can visit the educational website for latest charts, analysis, and videos. Okay, now let's see exactly what's happening with regards to the FTSE 100. Now, the FTSE 100 did actually make a pivot low overnight on the futures overnight, given the fact that it was responding or reacting to US markets. It made a pivot low, I think, around 6050, so one hell of a flush. Obviously, it's retraced back now and it's pushed back higher. Now, in terms of the actual index itself, the weakness or the bearish arguments this morning, you have the Asian markets down overnight. Although not spectacularly, you had the Shanghai down 0.5% and the Nikkei down by 1.3%. And that was mainly due to the fact that the US markets flushed quite hard and quite substantially overnight. Now, in terms of the bearish arguments we've had this morning, we've had Sports Direct, obviously down 7% in terms of missing its earnings expectations. In terms of the bull case, the bullish side, alternatively, we have had the trade deficit certainly weaker than expected and exports dropping by 2.7%. Obviously, that sent the actual FTSE 100 lower, just below 6100 prior to the BOE announcement. Now, we have, in terms of the bullish arguments for the FTSE 100 today, we have Glencore news, obviously debt reduction and spending cuts, etc. So that's certainly going to show up the balance sheet and make it viable for the future, okay, and for it to continue its operations. Given the fact that the Glencore, if I bring up a chart of Glencore, you can see that it's actually into gap fill. So it's a coincidence that the actual news flow actually comes out at a time when the market obviously hits the gap fill. Now, Glencore is absolutely key and pivotal. So let's just bring up a chart of Glencore so I can give you an insight here. Okay, so Glencore itself, if I bring up a daily chart, you can see that we obviously hit that gap fill yesterday and we've gapped higher ever since. If I bring up a chart of a 10-minute chart of Glencore, you can see that we've gapped higher. We've put in a move higher here on a 60-minute chart. Will probably give you more of an insight. Yes, we've hit the 200 MA. We've broken out this downward sloping trend line, and it's certainly bullish news. Now, next resistance zone for Glencore would certainly be in the 98 pence region. Okay. Yes, you do have an unfilled gap at 83 pence, and that certainly needs to be taken into consideration. Buying that pivot low at 75, that's a tremendous buy. Whoever made that, almost a 25% return. So very, very impressive. Okay, so certainly Glencore is bullish today, and that's obviously helping the FTSE 100 to a large extent. Now, if I bring up the oil and gas sector, you can see that ever since we put in that double bottom yesterday, the oil price, obviously, given the fact that if you look, bring up the price of Brent, and you'll be able to see in terms of the price action, and you'll see that we are putting in a potential double bottom on Brent. Okay, bear with me. Now, this is the commodities index, CRBQ, again into double bottom support, so certainly holding. Certainly an argument there for the markets to move higher. The Shanghai index obviously into support as well. The banking sector, you can see, is obviously into support also. The mining sector really is the only real weak, or should we say the weakest link thus far, and that certainly needs to be kept an eye on. The Aussie and the Kiwi certainly bullish today. The Kiwi is certainly higher as well. The dollar index certainly wants to move lower here and test the 200 MA and the diagonal trend line. So everything from my perspective certainly is indicating a higher move higher on the FTSE 100. And again, we await for the BOE to see the next move. Now, if I just bring up a chart of Brent, this is something I should have already. I'm surprised I don't. Okay, just bring that up for you as well. Okay, so Brent on the monthly chart basis is certainly into that double bottom support, and therefore I'm expecting that to put in a pivot low on the FTSE at this 6100, 6080 region, and certainly propel and push higher on the FTSE itself. Okay, now looking at the actual, given the fact that I've covered the news flow, we also have, in terms of the oil OPEC demand increase for oil, that certainly is bullish news for the FTSE and certainly is helpful for oil itself. In terms of earnings, to combat the weakness in Sports Direct, we have TUI earnings, which is obviously one of the biggest leisure and travel, obviously, companies. Certainly stated that their earnings was better than expected and came out 15% higher. So, again, that's certainly bullish, and that alleviates any concerns from terrorism and the loss of revenue there in terms of impact on GDP. So, that certainly helped the FTSE 100 move higher. Okay. And in terms of, we've had pro QE talk as well in terms of the BOE pushing back interest rate rise to May 2017. So again, that's certainly helping the FTSE. So you have commodities into support. You have mainly the miners, helped by Glencore. We have the likes of oil, obviously Brent certainly into support, increase in demand, etc., etc. So everything is certainly pointing to the FTSE moving higher and a potential pivot low in the commodities. Now let's bring up the chart of FTSE and let's try and decipher from there. Now the daily chart itself is into double bottom support here at 6090. You have diagonal trend line. This is key diagonal trend line support, and therefore you're looking for a move higher. Weekly chart again, key diagonal trend line, key horizontal support. Everything is aligning. The 60-minute chart itself, you have this double bottom that's certainly held. You have these bottoming tails that certainly are being put in and certainly is looking for a base being built. 10-minute chart, you have a double bottom at 6090, certainly holding. I was expecting this bull flag to play out. It hasn't played out thus far, waiting for BOE. And obviously the trade deficit data certainly sent this index or indices lower. Now, the resistance zones on the FTSE will be 6117. Then you're looking at 6127. And then obviously ultimately gap fill at 6137. So they are the zones. If 6137 gets taken out, then you're looking at 6170 resistance and obviously the 200 MA as well. So observe those levels. But for now, I certainly maintain my bullish bias on the FTSE itself. Now, cross-referencing the FTSE on the FTSE Volatility Index, you can clearly see the Volatility Index is putting in a potential top and certainly is showing you resistance, and therefore that will be helpful for the FTSE 100 itself in terms of volatility dropping, and that will help the fair gauge drop, and therefore the indices will certainly catch a bid. The daily chart, again, for the FTSE All Share, again, is coming into support and itself, and therefore it will help the FTSE 100 move higher. The Euro Top 100, again, FTSE Euro Top 100 again is coming into support, and again that will help the FTSE 100 certainly march or attempt to march higher. The FTSE Europe, again, horizontal support. So everything is aligning for the FTSE 100 itself, and therefore I am expecting higher prices in the FTSE, and hence the reason why I'm long. So far it's been a good week, better than last week. It was minus 22 points last week. This week plus 300 points so far, so certainly a better week. And it hasn't been easy though. Certainly hasn't been easy. I've been stopped out multiple times in terms of my analysis, obviously going astray. But for now, the market certainly seems to have stabilized, and we are heading in one direction, which from my perspective at this juncture is certainly higher. FTSE 250 again is certainly consolidating, no lower lows here, so therefore we are looking for a potential break higher. Okay, so again, this is the FTSE 250 itself, so just connecting the pivot lows here, and you have broken out this upward sloping diagonal trend line. Again, it will be a lot of the focus will be on the BOE, but for now you do have support if we break lower here, and you have support here. Okay, I think that's a good summary of the actual market itself. Be sure to visit cfds.com for your trading needs. Goodbye now. I better get that phone call. Goodbye.